Hello, Glenn. Welcome to the Long Distance Friends podcast. You are
Yeah,
much further long distance than I think anyone else we've had on the show.
yeah. Where are you? So
I'm
right
in
now I'm at that.
Kentucky. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, I'm at like the top of Kentucky.
yeah. I'm like mid to bottom Florida right
Yeah.
now. Jeez.
I made the drive recently. It was like 17 hours with just me and like minimal stops. So it's
That's
far
why. So that actually segues into what I want to talk about. Everyone moved far, like, and
for the
that was
most
the
part. Yeah. Though I look
yeah,
at it and I'm like, holy shit, so many people like stayed.
yeah. It was weird though. Like those that stayed, like don't talk to anybody from our high school. Don't say a word to you. Like they'll see you. Like I've seen like four or five people from high school on the street, and they're just like,
Yeah, but also like we were fucking like no one was normal in high school. Everybody was fucking weird. Like
yeah, yeah,
if
you could say
I
that
knew me
again.
from high school, like I have a couple of friends from high school. Like you and I went to high school together,
Yeah,
but our sisters, both of our older sisters have been best friends since they were like 12.
yeah.
So we've known each other for like a really long time. And I feel
True.
like if we hadn't had the like basically family connection,
I feel like we would have lost touch.
right? Like everybody from high school, unless you were like really close. I think I have like four or five people from high school that like I actually speak to. Like I keep tabs on everybody because I'm like, I love all of you and I love to like see where your lives have gone, but like we're not close.
Yeah, I so like that's the weird thing for me, like because I obviously stayed. I went to school down here and like stayed by my house, and so like everybody that I knew like moved on except for Kyle.
Mhm.
And so everybody moved on, everybody did their own thing, and nobody has like come back or anything. And then I'm getting ready to leave. And as I'm getting ready to leave and like go out to Virginia and everything, everybody's starting to come back, but nobody's talking to me. Like I don't, me and Kyle don't, we're not even really like friends anymore.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, that was yeah, me and Kyle, the person I was attached at the hip with, were like
Yeah.
we're cordial, but we don't like talk. We don't see each other anymore. It's like that. It's and we live. I live probably 10 minutes from the guy.
Jess and I are going to do an episode on like friend breakups because she and I had the same thing happen where like we had the like stupidest like blowout end of friendship. And then I shit you not, 2 years later, she like texted me out of nowhere and was just like, hey, so that was fucking weird. And like I was kind of in the wrong. And like we were both kind of in the wrong, but like I'm sorry and I miss you. And I was like, water under the bridge, buddy. What's good? And now we have a podcast. So
Oh, like that's nice.
there's no way
I
to know where the wind blows, you know?
no idea.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see this. I didn't
No.
see being here in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, when we were in high school and they told us to make 5 year plans, I don't think fucking anybody is where they thought they would be. I thought I was going to be a gynecologist and married with maybe a kid and like living my best life. And I'm living my best life, but like not at all what I thought it was going to be.
So I got in trouble when I wrote mine. I wrote dead because like it wasn't like a like oh I'm gonna go like try to die thing. It was like a I'm gonna go join the Marines and probably get sent to Afghanistan, and life expectancy for guys out there is 23, and I was 18. I was like, well, math, yeah, I'll be fine. And
So
that was where my head was at.
I feel like you anticipated joining the Marines straight out of high school. And that isn't what happened. You went to school and now you're joining. So, how do you think that that makes a difference? Like, do you feel like it's probably going to be a better experience because your brain is a little bit more developed and you've had a little bit more life? Or do you think it would have benefited you more to be like soft, malleable brain straight in there?
I think if I went in, the guy who I was in high school, if he went into the Marines, he would have like I'm still gonna love it either way, but he definitely would have basically been like, oh, this soft malleable brain. Let's just make him like honestly, I probably would have been doing like really dumb stuff and probably would have gotten myself hurt and trying to do like I would have been so easily manipulated by the military, by the Marines, by everything that I probably would have made some decisions I shouldn't have.
Mhm.
Whereas now I'm 5 years down the road, I'm a completely different person. I've gone to 5 years of school. I have a degree in psychology. I've like I figured out who I am, what I want to be, and how I want to do it. And the Marines are it's either going to be a career or a stepping stone to what I do next.
Right.
And either way, I see myself as 10 times better than what I was when I got out of high school. When I got out of high school, when I was in high school, I mean, you remember, I was not the nicest of people. I was not well liked. I'm still not very well liked, but I just don't care anymore. I, I that's the greatest part about like this whole like 5 years and everything is like I really don't care what people say or think anymore. Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
cool, that's you. I don't care.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a
And like,
hard lesson to learn because, when you're young, all you want to do is fit in and be like everybody else. And, Jess and I were talking where I was like, I am the bell curve. Like, I am the bell of the bell curve. I'm just like every other girl, but at the same time, I'm not going to like force myself to wear the same clothes as everybody else just because they're wearing them. Like, I'm going to wear what I feel comfortable in and not care if you're looking at me and you're like, you look like shit. Like, guess what? I'm comfortable. Okay. I'm cozy. I don't give a fuck. I'm not trying to impress anybody. And I think that's the big thing is it's like you spend your whole youth trying to impress everybody to feel like you belong. And then with age comes the freedom to say, I just like the things that I like. I don't like them because someone else does. I like them because I really enjoy the flavor of pumpkin spice. It's delicious. That's great that it's popular and a lot of other people like it, but like I fucking love pumpkin spice. Whereas like I feel like when you're in high school, you're like, oh my, I love Converse because everybody's wearing Converse. They're so
yeah,
uncomfortable. No, my feet are flat and wide. They fucking hurt.
it's really funny because like the reason like I obviously was me in high school, but like the other reason I felt like people didn't like me was because like it was like, oh, go left. And I was like, no, fuck you, I'm going right. Like I was that guy. But also I will say even now, like I'm 23 going on 24, and like people still do that. Like that's why I'm not friends with a lot of people now, is because they're just like, oh well, everybody else is doing this, so let's just go do that. I'm like, why the fuck would I do that when I can go have fun? Like I can go enjoy myself and enjoy my time, or
Mm-hmm.
I can go do what they're doing and be miserable. I'm gonna choose this. This sounds more fun. And like I still find like people won't hang out with me because I'm like that. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, but like then those aren't your people.
Exactly. Which I gotta tell you about this weird, like I shouldn't say weird. It was an interesting thing that happened at the gym. So I'm at the gym and I'm working out and doing my thing. I'm XYZ. And there is this older gentleman who I see at the gym all the time. And I introduce myself to him because we finally had a second to have a conversation. And I find out his son is going to the OST, trying to go to OCS next year, doing the same thing that I'm doing for the Marines. So we have a conversation and then I get done with my workout and I'm getting ready to leave. And he pulls me aside. He goes, hey, man, this is going to sound weird, but I needed a second to talk with you. I've seen you in the gym a lot. He goes, there's something different about you. I'm like, what? He goes, it's not the sort of thing. It's not that you're very respectful. It's not how you work out. It's just something about you. When I look at you and people all around, and we've all had conversations about this, when all of us look at you, there's something different about you. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't, like you follow the beat. Like he goes, it's more than that you follow the beat to your own drum. It's more of, he goes, when I look at you, I see somebody who is on the outside and is okay with it. He goes, you could be walking outside and you're like it, you don't mind. You don't want to be a part of society, but you'll do it if you have to. He goes,
Yeah.
and he goes, hold on to that. He goes, I don't know if you have faith. I don't know if you're like religious or spiritual or anything, but he goes, I personally believe that everything happens for a reason. He goes, I think this conversation needed to happen because I felt incredibly drawn to tell you this. And then he just left. I was like, I was sitting there in the gym. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. What in the world? And then that's when I actually hit you up. I was just like, hey, can I do your podcast?
Yeah. I mean, and it's because that's something that, like, I think, for years, my motto has been everything happens exactly how it's supposed to, exactly when it's supposed to. And I mean, we've both gone through some like really tough shit for years. And I feel like the older I get and the further I get from those things, and when new things happen, I'm able to look at them with the lens of gratitude. Because if I didn't experience those things, like I wouldn't be able to have the joy that I feel with the mundane things because I don't take them for granted. And I don't think you do either. Like, I think we both are able to look at things and be like, I can recognize that this is shitty, but I can also recognize that, like, hey, this was shitty. And now I need to look at the other things that are bringing me joy and happiness that other people aren't yet able to appreciate. That, like, I can appreciate a bad day because I get to have a bad day. I have people that will never get to have a bad day again. And then it makes the good day feel that much better.
No, that was the big thing. I think that me, you, Maddie, Michaela, but mainly me and you, because like Maddie, Michaela, I will say Michaela and Maddie very much like are a lot better with just like, oh yeah, no, that's a bad memory. I'm gonna take that and throw that away. That doesn't exist here.
Right.
And then me and you were like, oh, what the
We
fuck?
both were like the younger sibling with just riddled with anxiety.
Yeah, yeah, and that like it was the anxiety, and it was also like you obviously saw your traumatic shit, and I had my traumatic shit, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, nobody really gets it, and I was at like 13, and it
Right.
was just like, the fuck is wrong with this kid? And I'm like, y'all don't get it, like this thing that we're living could be gone like that,
Yeah.
and people are like, no, it can't. We're 13. I'm like,
Right. Having a strong sense of morality as a teenager is fucking wild.
yeah. The bad part is I've gone full pendulum swing back, and now I'm just like, yeah, I could die, but like, will I? Will I?
Yeah. I mean, that's with like the current situation that I'm in, where like I haven't talked about it on the podcast, but like I have a sibling who is in a vegetative state and got into a car accident about 5 months ago. And basically the hospital has said, like, we've done everything that we can.
Yeah.
And he's younger than me. And, you know, I've lost a lot of people before, but you don't anticipate losing your siblings. And like part of healing for me is like, I've already written, you know, the Instagram post for when he passes. You know, it was 2 a.m. and I was able to like wake up and just be like, no one has ever fought for me as hard as my brother did. And like, we would literally beat the shit out of each other, like full on beat the shit out of each other wrestling on the floor. But if somebody on the outside was hurtful to me, he was the first person in my corner that was like, I will kill you. And like, you don't know what it's like to lose that person until you do. And like, I've had the sense of morality for myself of like, my life could end at any minute, but I've never been able to like conceptualize my siblings having that. Like my parents, they're going to die one day. It's anticipated that your parents are going to die before you. My grandparents are going to die before me. All of the people that I've lost, it made sense that they were going to die. They were older than me. They'd had more life than me. This person hasn't. And so now it's like full spectrum where I'm like, wow, all of us could just fucking anytime.
Oh yeah.
And like, I'm doing well with it. Like, I've been grieving ahead of time and like, I've been working with my therapist on it. But like, I'm grateful that I've had the experiences that I've had because it has helped ease me into this one of like, oh, this is going to suck. I mean, I drive home from work at 1 a.m. listening to Noah Khan, You're Going to Go Far, and just like ugly sob because I'm like, our last conversation, he was like, I'm so proud of you for getting out of fucking Florida because it's really just gone downhill. And like, I'm so proud of you for like getting out and growing up and making something for yourself. And like, I'm glad that you left us behind because you had to. And I was like, then I heard that song and I was like, fuck.
So I'm not an emotional guy.
Yeah.
But I'm getting shit because the light sucks. But so I got a phone call recently from, and you remember the story about Greg, like his passing, like
Yeah.
all that. Like so I'll explain it real quick. 'Cause it might be people. When I was 13, my closest friend in the world passed away on my birthday. It was a freak accident. He was 13. That's kind of when like life hit and was like, hey, by the way, like you could be 13 and die. And I was like, oh, that's not okay.
Mm.
Me and him, the reason why I joined the military is because me and him at 6 years old said we wanted to be in the military together. When I got my acceptance into OCS for the Marines, his dad called me because my dad called him and he said, I just want to let you know that I'm so incredibly proud of you. And I know Greg would be so incredibly proud of you. When I tell you I broke down, like I ugly cried in the middle of class because that's when he called. I was in class. It was like the last class of the week, and I stepped outside because I had started to cry. I stepped outside. And I was just ugly crying. It was so bad. My professor walked out. This poor little 5 foot innocent lady. It's like her second year teaching, and I'm sitting there ugly crying, like I don't know what to do. And she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm like, and I explained to her, and she goes, "Take your time. walks back inside and just lets me sit out there. I sat out there for a good 20 minutes. I came back and rejoined class like nothing happened. She didn't say
Yeah.
a word. And I was just like, one, the fact that she did that, she didn't have to do that. She could have been like, hey,
Right.
suck it up, deal with it, come back in. But the fact that she like let me have that moment was
Yeah.
like, I will, she'll never know how grateful I was because I couldn't look her in the eyes and tell her. Like I
Yeah.
was so embarrassed. But just the amount of like emotion that his words had toward like to me, I was just like, holy crap. Like I didn't realize like somewhere the kid inside of me needed to hear that.
Right.
And like that, I think that was all like I held on to the grief of his death for a long time. I think that was like all of it finally just like,
Hit.
you're good, you're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
That's everything. And I
And
was just like,
grief is a really interesting thing. And like, I know you have probably studied it a lot and have lived it, but like, there is no timeline for grief, you know? So it's like, I laugh because you and I are very much the same, where we're like, I'm completely fine. And then all of a sudden it's 4 a.m., I'm dry heaving, sobbing. And then 30 minutes later, I'm like, LOL. Anyways, back to normal, like teehee.
yeah,
And then seeing other people who have like a much more prevalent and persistent grief, where it's like a state that they live in for a long time. And I'm like, just disassociate. What do you mean? Like, just compartmentalize it, deal with it in the midnights, and do something else. And that there's no right or wrong way to grieve. But it's so nice that like a couple years after those things happen, I feel like you get some sort of like sign that's just like, hey, look, you've made it. It's okay. Look, you did the thing, you know? You're out of it and like you're doing really well. And these moments that we grieve, the people that we grieve, the versions of ourselves that we grieve, we're able to stand at that point and look back and go, I've made them proud. And the whole time getting here, I didn't see it and I didn't feel it and it sucked. But now I'm on the other side. And to be able to get there and look at it and go, we made it. Like that deserves a pat on the back. I think it really does.
no, that was like definitely the other side was just like, wow. But to your disassociating, yeah, I like this is kind of I'm all around, I'm all over the place today. But so like freshman and sophomore year of college, I don't nobody really like saw me all that much because I was, doing my thing. But I went into freshman year of college at 6'1" and 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I left freshman year at 130 because I was like I was depressed. Like I can fully admit I wasn't like, oh, like I wasn't suicidal depressed. I was just like, this really just sucked. Like
Yeah.
everything, I got no joy out of anything. I was just like doing the same thing over and over again. I felt nothing towards anything. And sophomore year rolls around and like we're like I'm still playing lacrosse, we're moving and grooving, doing our thing. And then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And like COVID hit, and I don't know what the hell happened, but COVID hit, finished classes, everything was on fire. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not depressed anymore. And then I started like, I went from eating one meal a day to 6 meals a day. And I started going to the gym and I started like, I came back that year. I went from 135 pounds to 190 in that summer and just swelled up. But the other crazy part was I was happy.
Right.
We were doing lacrosse practice and I'm running up and down the field and I just had the stupidest smile on my face and we're running a 600-meter sprint. I'm just smiling the whole time. Like, this is great. Like I can do it.
Like
I
I
can
woke
run.
up.
Yeah. It was like, I'm alive. And
Yeah.
and the craziest part about all of that is since that has happened, since that 2021 or 2020, like everything hits, I haven't really had like because I've been waiting for it. I'm like, okay, we're still riding high, we're still riding high, we're still happy, still happy. When is it gonna hit? When is the
Yeah.
like, hey, second shoe drops, you're back in that. And it hasn't come.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, part of me is still like, it's been 3 years, but it can still come, it can still show up.
And you know me, we're very much similar in this way, where like every therapist I've ever had is like, you are constantly living waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I've had a similar experience with like the past couple of years. Like I had been on antidepressants since I was 12 years old. I got off of them in 2021. And like, don't get me wrong, I have days that are not sunshine and happiness and like I'm experiencing grief, but I've built a support system. Like I'm taking care of myself in other ways. I'm no longer in environments that are adding to a mental space that's negative and that's depressed and that's in pain. And so I had a therapist look at me and I was like, my life is going so good. I'm just kind of waiting for it to all get taken away. And she was like, but what if it doesn't? What if it only gets better? What if you've suffered so much that now you get to experience like the joy? What if it keeps getting better and you'll feel bad sometimes, but like, what if life is good? And I was like, oh, fuck you. I don't know. That wasn't what I was prepared for.
You're sitting there like, do you know my life? Have you looked at the story so far? Like, have you read?
But now that you're an adult, you get to be the author. When you're a child, you aren't writing your story.
No,
You are
no.
existing in a story that's already been written and is preparing you to write your own. But yeah, once you turn like 20, 21, 22, you start finishing up school, the previous authors are going, okay, you get to write your own now. Like, I'm going to stop writing, figure it out. And now you get to choose, is it going to continue through that path of like trials, or are you going to walk out of it and be like, okay, I'm going to take what I learned. I'm still learning. I'm still a baby adult, but happiness is a choice. Like, genuinely, your perception changes your reality. So if I wake up every day going, it's going to be a good day and I'm going to make someone laugh, I'm going to find joy, you're going to live a joyful life. But if you don't wake up
Yeah.
with that and you're just like, oh, another day, yeah, it's probably going to suck. And I think we both have the blessing of getting to realize that young, because I look at a lot of people that have had really beautiful upbringings that are now experiencing their first like real trials and hard times and are like, this is just gonna suck forever. And I'm like, no, it gets better. You just have like, it's the mandatory like 10 years of bullshit. Merry Christmas. Have fun.
This is the mandatory 10 years of your life. Basically, it's just,
Yeah.
and you got to get over it. And it's when you're in that hell, when you're going through that, it's like, oh my God, this is never going to end. And then you get out and you look back and you're like, oh, wow,
It
that wasn't
wasn't
so
that
bad.
bad.
Yeah. And then the next time you go through anything like that, you're like, we've done this. We got
Right.
this. But like you said, for people who have never had that, it's like, oh my God, like it's so terrible. It's like, dude, that's a fuck. Like
It'll be fine.
I had a coworker who I worked with, and like he had the most mild thing happen to him. It was like, I can't remember what it was, but he's sitting there, he's like, my world's gonna end. I'm not gonna have a job anymore. I'm not gonna have this. I'm not gonna have that. I'm like, dude, calm down. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
how can you be calm when they're talking about like, because they were talking about selling the company that we were working at. It never happened. And I was like, dude, if they
You'll get a
sell
new
the
job.
company,
Like,
yeah, if they sell the company, you'll get a new job. He goes, yeah, but like how, like I guess I can move in with my parents because like that's an option. But like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? At the time, I'm like, buddy, friend, take a breather.
this is part of life.
Yeah, this is part of life. And he goes, how are you so calm about this? I'm like, because I know two things for a fact. One, I'm gonna go to bed tonight. Two, I'm gonna maybe wake up in the morning. And then the third one is I still have a job right now. I still gotta do this. So I don't get fired. Like the maybe getting fired, I'll push that off. That's tomorrow's problem. Right
Yeah.
now we got a job to do. Like we need to not get fired now. And like from then on, he would come to me with his problems. He was just like, dude, like I'm having like this personal problem in my life. And I'm like, dude, just look at it this way. He goes, holy shit, that's awesome.
Sometimes you need that person. And like one person's mountain might be somebody else's anthill. And like that's just how the journey goes. And so like there's like we really can't judge, because it's like I'm sure that someone looks at what I've been through and is like, that's fucking nothing. You're upset about that. And it's like, hey, it was what was hard for me. But I'm able to give perspective to others, and others are able to give perspective to me. And like it's just how we roll.
That's yeah. Human beings also, we're weird creatures.
Yeah.
We're
We're
very weird.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's having that ability to have that perspective, like you were talking about, is fantastic. Like I love the ability that, like, by the grace of the universe, we got that. Just it's awesome that we got that at such a young age, but at the same time, getting there sucked. Having it rocks.
Yeah.
Oh, this goes back to the first topic of like everybody leaving. Like, so I had like you and Kyle and Jonathan, like all those people who were like my core like group of like if I had something going on,
Right.
I didn't have to tell you guys. I just would be like,
Something's going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like something's going on. You guys would be like, okay, cool. When you're ready to talk about it, we'll be here. For the
Right.
moment, you want to go do something stupid? And like
Yeah.
that was living life when that got ripped away or
Mm-hmm.
taken away or moved away or whatever. That like first 3 months when everybody, because like we had just started college, everybody was at different schools, everybody's doing different stuff, and like nobody really had time.
Mhm.
That like 3 month period of like your support group doesn't exist anymore, buddy. Like this is the real world. And it was just like I physically felt sick to my stomach
Mhm.
trying to find new people to talk to about that stuff. Because I
Mhm.
was just like, they won't understand it. Nobody gets this. Only these people understood me.
Right.
What's gonna happen? They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. And then I finally started like it was I finally started to open up to some guys on my lacrosse team at first, and they were like, dude, yeah, no, like I get it. And I was just like, you what? They were like, yeah, no, like I understand what you're saying. Here's what I've been through, so that way we can relate. And I was just like, oh, I'm not alone, am I?
Yeah. And that makes me so happy because, like, Jess and I have talked about it on here of like, so many guys don't have guy friends that they talk to about their life and their feelings. And it's like, you see all of these guys in the world that are struggling with their emotions and their feelings, and they don't talk to people, or the only person they talk to is like their partner, or they become friends with a woman. And then women are very frequently, like all of my girlfriends, we talk about our feelings, we talk about all of these like deeper level things. So like friendships then build that, and they're like, oh, like I must be in love with you. And it's like, no, you just need to talk about your fucking feelings. Like it doesn't make you less of a human being to be like, I need to talk about my feelings, and I feel big things, and I feel really happy, and I feel really sad, and I need to cry. And like it's so important. It's so fucking important. Like I have dated people where I'm like, what do you mean you don't just have like three friends that you're in a group chat with that you're like, here's exactly what's going on today? And they're like, that's just not a thing. And I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean? I would die without my like network. And you have to grow it. Like that's part of growing up is you have to build a bigger network. You can't come to the same person with all of your heavy shit. You got to like even the load and like spread it out. It's great. So I'm very proud
Right.
of you for that. I think you should be very proud of yourself because you're like miles ahead of most people because of that.
Yeah. The sucky, here's the, oh yeah, here's the sucky part because you know how life is. The sucky part with that is like I stopped playing lacrosse
Mm-hmm.
in 2021 because like my grandmother passed away, and I stopped playing lacrosse because I was just like, yeah, there's no joy in it. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because she used to come to all my games. Even when I played in college, she was at every game.
Right.
And then she, like, I went to play another game and she wasn't there. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't. Nope. I was like, I'm out, done. See you,
Yeah.
coach. And I was just like, hey, I need to take like personal time. My entire network that was that team stopped talking to me,
Yeah.
like, gone. I was like, as time has gone on, and I have kind of a group and like I will talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, instead of me talking about the stuff, a lot of them actually come to me and they put all of the heavy shit that they're dealing with on me. And I sit there and I'm just like, this feel like I can support this. Like I can support
You
the
are
weight of
allowed to
five.
set boundaries though. Like you are allowed to be like, hey, I'm not in this space right now where I can hold this. You, like I just want to emphasize because you know me, I used to do the same thing. And then I was like, why am I suddenly buried under mountains of stuff? So
Oh yeah. But that's the weird thing. Like I don't feel buried. I don't feel like overwhelmed by it. It's just like
yeah.
I have like 4 or 5 of my guy friends who like they're like, dude, like one of my friends, I won't say his name, but like his mom, like his biological mom just died.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, he didn't know her. Yeah, she was an alcoholic. Yeah, she was abusive and all this stuff. But like,
That's still a parent.
it's still a parent, and he will not talk to it with anyone except for me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, like, I get it. Like, I'm easy to talk to. You seriously need to talk to somebody else. Like, talk. He has a
Yeah.
girlfriend who won't tell it. Like, his girlfriend doesn't even know that she passed away. Nobody in our friend group knows. And he's sitting there like telling it on me. I'm like, dude, you need to let this out to everybody. Like you need
Yeah.
to air it all out. Cause and I'm having to tell all of them, like, you guys gotta realize, like, I'm leaving for the Marines. I'm not gonna be able to contact you for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're like the look on some of their faces is like, oh my God, like I can't there that and I'm like, it's not personal to you. Like I'm not doing it to like get away from you guys. I'm doing it because this is my dream. But like you guys gotta talk to your significant others. You gotta talk to your friends. You guys gotta all and like it got to the point where I put all because all of them would text me personally. I put all of them in a group chat together. I was like, all 5 of you
Hi,
guys.
this is your new group while I'm away.
I was like, all five of you guys need to start talking about your stuff, or I will start putting like screenshots of all the conversations we've had in this group chat because you guys need to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And like I muted the group chat because like I was at work. I come back, I unmute it, and there was like 150 messages, and they're like actually like talking about their stuff and they're dealing with their stuff. And I'm like,
Hi, welcome to group therapy.
hi, my name is Glenn. Welcome to the group. And but they're like dealing with their stuff. And like we have guys like one of the guys in our group, he's 28 years old. He served in the military and he has PTSD. Like we cannot light fireworks off with this guy. This was probably we started having all these conversations and stuff in June. July 4th came around and he felt comfortable enough with our group to have us light off fireworks around him.
Aw.
That's what like this has done. And I'm like, cool. And then now they're adding more of their guy friends. So like, and also some girls because they're like, it's actually starting to get to the point where it's not just guys who are having these issues where they won't talk and they won't say stuff because like girls in friendships, like, you know how girls and friends are like in your early 20s where it's just like, are they my friend? Are they being fake? Do I
Right.
know what's going on? And then
Right.
there's us guys who are just like, dude, like, I'm just happy. Like, life is
Yeah.
good. I'm existing. If I have a problem, guess what? I'm either going to take it on or I'm going to throw it to the group. And then we have girls who are like, and we have a group chat. It's like, I think 10 people at this point, and it's like literally just for, hey, I'm going through this. Has anybody gone through this and can help or something similar? And two, can somebody just come and stick by me for like 5 minutes? Like, I just need somebody here. And it's like, yeah, we got you. Like, somebody will always be there. And if somebody isn't, somebody is willing to make a phone call. Somebody's willing to do this. And it's like seeing that all of us as adults can come together and have this group and this like close knitness is like, wow,
Yeah.
we did it. We got here.
That makes me
I
so happy. Like I love that you're doing well. I know that we're like kind of running out of time, but like I am genuinely so proud of like how far you've come. I hope that you pat yourself on the back every so often.
You know me, I don't. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you to. So start.
Okay. Well, okay. I will try. I'm actually really proud of you. You moved several states away.
I know. And I just keep moving.
Yeah, you keep going further. I need you to I say that as my ass is asking to be shipped to Germany for my
Yeah,
first
you're going
station.
further. Like, be fucking for real, Glenn. You're just leaving
Yeah,
the country.
yeah, but like I didn't get out of Florida like the rest of you. I stayed
Yeah.
here and now I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to leave. And like it's
Right.
like go far.
And it's so
But
funny though, because like you stayed and you're like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And I left. And like, genuinely, before that conversation with my brother, I was like, my goal has always been to like move to Central Florida because it's far enough from home that I can like have my own life, but close enough that like I can be there for my family and watch my siblings grow up and like all of these things. And then after having that conversation with him of like, we will all always be here. Move, go, live your life. Like if you really decide that this is where you want to be, come back. But like everyone will always be here. You can always reach us. You can always visit. That doesn't mean that you have to like U turn your life to come back. Like Theo Vaughn talks about it too, where he's like, you'll never regret leaving because you can always come back, but you'll regret not going and seeing, you can always come back and decide if you want to come home. But if you never leave, you'll never know.
like I'm really am proud of you for like all of that you've done and like you're out here, you are living. You are like living your life. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people that I know who left are just spinning their wheels somewhere until they decide to come back.
Yeah.
You're out here like I'm going to like you've always been the person where it's just like when you put your mind to something, it's happening. Like
Yeah.
whether there's a mountain and a storm in your way or not, it is happening. And like the other thing with you talking about like you can always come back. My parents, for as long as I can remember, have always told me two things. Like follow your dream and if it fails, you can always come back.
Right.
My mom looked at me and she goes, Glenn, you could be 35, get out of the military, be like, I'm about to be homeless, and you can move back in here with us. She
Right.
goes, would I want you to have to do that? No. Would I still love you just the same if you had to do it? Yes. And she goes, now, however, that does not mean that you can stay here rent free. Your ass
Right.
better get a job and start paying for and do that. And I was just like, well, yeah, no, I'm not. I would hope that
Right.
at that point in my life, I wouldn't be like, I'm just going to hang out rent free and not have to pay
Yeah.
for anything. Like, I'm a 30-year-old adult. I feel like I should be like, I can pay for stuff. But
Yeah.
having that little ability, like if all else fails, if
Mm.
everything goes to hell, like if I bet on the wrong horse and I lose it all, I always have like I can always go home.
Right.
And but that was the other big thing with me at least is like my because like my sister went home and like
Right.
she didn't like she didn't bet and lose, but like she got married and she's still got trying to get on her feet and stuff. She lives at home. I've always had the option to go home that I've never wanted to use.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of pride. It's not a matter of like, oh, I'm better than anybody else. It's more of like the person that I am at home and the person that I am when I'm on my own are two incredibly different people. And
Yeah.
I need to be the other guy. And it sounds selfish. It could sound bad to some people, but like I need to be that person where it's like, I'm my own individual. I can think my own way. I can figure this stuff out on my own. I need that. And the great thing about the military for me is that I'll be an officer. I'll be able to be on my own and on my own in different countries while also having it where I have like pay, people there to support me, people there who look up to me and all those things. So it'll be like being a parent and an adult at the same time without having the responsibility of being a parent or an adult. I'm just
Yeah.
in charge of 18 to 27-year-olds and making sure that they don't do anything dumb. And that's pretty easy. You just tell them not to do anything dumb. And then when they do something dumb, you cover it up.
Well, kind of, but like, don't just cover it up. Like, you also have to be like, this was dumb. Don't do it again.
Well,
Learn
yeah,
from your
that.
mistakes.
Yeah,
So,
I'm talking like, well, I'm more over like, I'll handle it. We don't need to let like somebody really high up be like, that guy did something dumb. And it's just like, no, 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 I got it. It's good. We
yeah.
got him. He didn't
Yeah.
do anything. He saw nothing. And like, that was, I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy like where life has gone for everybody, not just like for
Yeah.
me or for you, but like for like your sister has a kid.
She does.
My sister is married.
She
You're
is.
like, I mean, well, we all knew she was gonna marry the guy. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
She brought him home, and it was just like, yeah, they're getting married. I told my mom, like, they weren't even dating yet. I was like, she's gonna marry that one, and your sister's getting married, and
She
like,
is.
and like people we went to high school with are getting married, and people we went to high school with are having kids, and it's just like, when did we become the adult?
Am I behind or am I ahead? Or are we all at the same place? Like, genuinely, there's really no like milestone. Like, I mean, there's milestones, but like, there's no guidebook for like where you should be, because the guidebooks all say that you should be in one place, and like, it's bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
just do something. Just don't be stagnant, is the best you can do. You never stop looking in the mirror and being like, I'm 16. What am I doing here? And then being like, I'm a 35-year-old, 16-year-old. What do you mean? And like, you do grow up, you do, develop. And if you don't develop, then, there's concern. You never stop being the versions of yourself that you were before. You're 23. And also, every other version of you that ever existed is still in you. You don't just wake up and all of those versions of you don't exist.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Actually, that's
It's
you
like a
make it.
mind fuck. It's
Yeah,
such a mind fuck, but like,
yeah, I never, because
it's
like you
true.
don't think about that. Average people don't think about that.
Right, right. The people that are like, death is coming and I'm very much aware of it, they think about it. And
Yeah,
we are those
uh,
people.
those of us who are like, I'm gonna kick the bucket. It's gonna happen. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 30 years. It could be in 100 years. I don't know. Every version of myself. Wow. Yeah, no, actually, that tracks. Actually,
So I
that makes
do have
sense.
to ask you the stereotypical question, because you are joining the military. Are you going to get married in the next 6 months?
Probably not.
Wow. So proud.
Yeah, my mom has several times looked at me and be like, "Stay away from car dealerships and strip clubs." I'm like, I've never been to a strip club, and I don't want to buy a car. No, it'll probably be within like the next year.
All
Imagine,
right.
what's gonna be crazy when I become a dad.
Yeah, that'll be something. Like, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that all plays out. Again, like with everybody, I'm like, I love seeing all this. I have girlfriends that have had kids and are having kids, and like, it makes me so happy to like see them go through that transition. And then I have friends that are like, oh, probably never have kids, but like, I love being part of your network when you have them. And like, it is so special. It's not for everybody, but for the people that it's for, it really is like such a blessing to watch them go through that transformation.
It took me a long time to be like, I want to have kids because
Yeah.
like I was terrified of being my dad, and I was just like, no, I'm good. I'll just avoid it.
Yeah.
Just won't have kids. I'll be a cool uncle, coolest uncle you ever meet. I don't know. Like this is gonna sound cheesy as shit and corny as hell, but like I met the right person, and I was just like, I don't like. I could. I could have kids with you and I wouldn't want to throw you or the kids out the window. And like that's messed up to say, but like that's how my head works.
No, but that's so important. Like I think I talked about it on the first episode or maybe the second one of like my whole life revolved around I want to have kids. And then I hit a point where I was like, I was dating people where I was like, am I dating you because I just want to hit a milestone at a certain time? And then having to actually look at it and be like, okay, well, this person would be so good with like taking care of me after I give birth, and then being like, but are they going to be a good co-parent for the rest of my life? Is this someone that if my kid was to be a carbon copy of, that I would be proud of and that I would feel pride that this is the adult that I have developed? And like having to look in the mirror and be like, no, like I'm at a point where I want kids, but I have to be with someone that I'm like, God, I want to have kids with you, because I just like I haven't had that click where it's like I thought that I did, and then I looked back at it and I was just like, no, it was just like exciting to have somebody be like, I want the same things as you. And then when it was like, oh, we don't want the same things, it was like heartbreaking, but it was more heartbreaking because I felt lied to. And so I am excited to get to meet that person and have that moment. But it'll come when it comes. And
It was
again, your 20s is such a fucking wild place. And it's one of the beautiful things of having this platform is getting to talk to all of my different friends and all of Jess's friends that are at different stages in our 20s, where like some of us started in the same place, some of us met along the way, and like none of us are in the same spot. And all of these people on social media that are like, I'm 22 and I own a home and I make $400,000 and I'm married with 6 kids. Like, that's not real. That's not real. I am a homeowner in my early 20s, but like, honestly, it was kind of impulsive. Like, it was a decision that I was like, interest rates will go down, but prices won't. And everybody's telling me that I should do this. And fuck it, why not? I probably could have put that money towards traveling more and going around the world, but that money will be there and come back. And like, then when I get to travel the world, it'll be with a partner and I'll get to have a more luxurious visit than being like, I'm backpacking solo, because that's not ideal for me. What's ideal for me is having a home that I can turn into a studio and create a hobby that's going to fulfill me and entertain and provide, I don't know, comfort and entertainment to others. So,
well, also like I've watched a couple of the podcasts and like you put a lot of stuff that a lot of us like early to mid 20-year-olds put a lot of the stuff that I feel like a lot of us are feeling into words. And like that's also why I asked you if I could join, because like
yeah.
or like hop in and be a guest, because like there's stuff that I've seen and done and been a part of where it's like nobody put it into words, and I feel like nobody wants to put it into words, so might as well just be like, this is the word vomit. Hopefully it makes sense for you. Hopefully, like you could tell me, hey, only one person's gonna make sense of it. Cool. I touched one person. That's all that matters.
Exactly. And like something that I realized is all of the podcasts that I have been listening to for the past 5 years are all women in their 30s. So they're giving advice because they're like, I've already lived through it. And I'm like, yes, you lived through it, but it was 10 years ago. So like some of these nuances are different. And
Yeah.
now there's not that many podcasts that are like normal people in their 20s. Like the people in their 20s that have podcasts are influencers that are like making a lot of money and doing whatever. And I'm like, I want to talk to my friends and people I care about and people who I aspire to be and people that interest me, because I'm a 23-year-old woman who is going through these things in real time and is learning the lessons. And like, I've done the research, so like, I know what I need to learn from it. But there's a difference between listening to somebody going through it in the moment and listening to somebody who went through it 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's
I'm
and
still going to listen to them. I still love them. I still
yeah.
learn from them. But like, there's a different comfort of being like, hey, you're going through this at the same time. I'm also going through this, and I don't want to listen to like back in my day. I want to listen to today. I'm going through this and I just need to feel heard and seen. And I'm here to feel and see.
The other side of it is like, yeah, and I listen to like the guys who I listen to on podcasts are like 35, 38, 42-year-olds. And a lot of them, because of me going in the military, a lot of them are veterans. But like, and they're talking about their experiences in the military and their experiences before the military and their experiences in life. And I'm like, this is so long ago that like you guys, and but they talk about it. They're like, and because they're like, we know we have like younger listeners, and like you guys are in a completely different world than we were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
and they acknowledge it, but nobody, like you said, nobody who is our age who isn't an influencer is like talking about, like, I have a bunch of debt right now. I don't know how I'm gonna figure that out, but
I don't
here
know
we
how to
are.
go grocery shopping.
Bro, grocery shopping the first like five
It's
times,
tough.
I was like, I want to get all the snacks because I never got to have snacks. And now I'm like, oh, that's healthy. That's healthy. That's on sale. Thank you. That's on sale.
Oh,
Like
I
I
went
was
to the
shocked.
grocery store and I bought $100 worth of meat. Like I went to Sam's Club and I just bought ground beef and chicken breasts and different proteins because I was like, the number one thing I hate buying is meat because I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to buy a bunch, freeze it, and like over the next couple months, start like actually nourishing myself because I bought 25 pounds of dried rice. That's great, but like I can't just eat rice. Like
If
my hair will start falling out again.
if you want, I have like multiple recipes
Send
for
them,
different types of
send
steaks,
them
chicken,
my
stuff like that.
way.
I got you. I'll tell you about them.
But anyways, Glenn, it has been such a pleasure. I will have to
Thank
get
you.
you on again after you're
Like,
in the military, and who knows, maybe a year from now you'll be back and you'll be married and have so much to share with us.
oh my goodness. I will let you know.
Well, listen in and we'll record after, but
I,
bye.
I will have a good one, guys.